I ate eggs almost every morning for about 40 years. I thought I had the easy thing right. 2 eggs, a pinch of salt, and out the door. And I was getting maybe half of what was actually in them. Not because of the eggs, because of everything I was doing around the eggs. So this is 4 things I changed. And only 4. Not a diet, not a routine. 4 small things. And the eggs themselves never changed at all. The first morning I noticed anything, it was that I sat down. I had eaten breakfast standing at that counter for years without once deciding to. And that morning I pulled the chair out and sat with it. No miracle cures, no scare stories, nothing to buy, just what's actually true. The one at number 1 is something most of us do before breakfast without ever thinking about it, and it's the one I'd change first if I could only change one. Maybe you've noticed you're eating the same breakfast and getting less out of it. Maybe the mornings feel a bit flatter than they used to, and you can't point at what changed. Maybe your hands are slower with the shell than they were. I know, all 3 of those are mine. I thought that was just age. It wasn't. Number 4. The vegetables I was warned to keep away from my eggs. I'll start with the one that embarrassed me because I fell for it completely. Somebody told me there were certain vegetables you should never put on the same plate as eggs. Something about them working against each other. I took it seriously for the better part of a year, and my plate got smaller and smaller while I told myself I was being careful. What I was actually doing was eating less of the one thing I never eat enough of. There is no war going on between a mushroom and an egg, so now there's something green in the pan most mornings. A handful of spinach thrown in beside them while they cook. Mushrooms, if I've got them, halved and given a minute's head start. The amount is genuinely small, and I'd rather say that than sell you a plateful. A handful. What fits in your cupped hand? If chewing raw greens is hard work now, a minute in the hot pan makes them soft enough that they ask almost nothing of you. Frozen spinach costs less than fresh and waits in the freezer until you want it, which is the only reason there's still some in mine in August. Nothing here needs a special trip. And what stings is that I never asked who told me. I just tidied a good thing off my own plate because a stranger said so. The next one I did to myself, every single morning, with something I'd have sworn was harmless. Number 3, the mug of tea that was doing all the tasting. For years, breakfast was 2 eggs and a very large mug of very strong tea, and the tea arrived first. I'd take a mouthful of egg and wash it straight down before I'd finished with it. That was the rhythm. Bite, swallow, tea. Bite, swallow, tea. I thought I was eating breakfast. I was really just clearing it. So the change is almost nothing. The tea comes after now, not during. The eggs get eaten as their own thing, and the mug waits. It costs no money and takes no extra time, which is exactly why it took me so long to take it seriously. If you need something to drink with a meal because swallowing is harder than it was, then have it, and take small sips rather than a mouthful. That is a real reason. Habit is not. What changed was that I found out I actually like eggs, which was news to me at 63. And once I could taste the thing, I noticed how little was on the plate with it. Number 2, something sharp on the plate, and I mean something small. My breakfast had no color in it for about 20 years. 2 eggs, brown toast, and that mug. It looked like something you'd eat in a hurry, because it was. So I started putting something fresh and sharp on the same plate. Half an orange, most mornings. A few berries when they're cheap, which around here is most of the summer and almost never in February. Sharp, fresh things, and a plate of eggs seem to do better together than either does alone. And half an orange costs about 11 pence. The amount is small, and I'll say so plainly. Half a piece of fruit, not a bowl, not a glass of juice. If your teeth aren't what they were, berries go down easier than a hard apple. And tinned fruit in its own juice does the same job for less than fresh costs in winter. Here's the part I'm not proud of. I skipped this for about 3 weeks straight because it meant washing a second thing. That was the entire reason. A second plate. So I stopped using a second plate and put the orange next to the eggs. And that was the end of the problem. If you forget one morning, forget it. Nothing here is a streak you can break. The last one isn't on the plate at all. It's in the pan, and it's the one I'd have argued with you about. Number 1, the dry pan I was so proud of. For the better part of 15 years, I cooked my eggs in a bare non-stick pan. No oil, nothing at all. I was proud of it. In the quiet way you're proud of things nobody has ever asked you about. It felt like the careful choice. It felt like the choice a sensible man makes at 60. Here is what I did not know. Some of the best things in an egg yolk only travel with a bit of fat. Take the fat out completely and you've still eaten the egg, but you haven't collected everything that was in it. 15 years of being careful. in a way that quietly cost me the very thing I was eating the egg for. That is a strange sentence to say out loud, and it's true. So now there's a teaspoon of olive oil in the pan. A teaspoon, not a pour, and I'd rather you hear the amount from me than guess at it. Some mornings, it's a small knob of butter instead, and I've stopped feeling either clever or guilty about which. If there's avocado in the house, a few slices on the side does the same job with no cooking at all. If standing over a hot pan is awkward now, a spoon of olive oil stirred through scrambled eggs after they're off the heat works just as well, and you can do it sitting down. A bottle of ordinary olive oil lasts me most of a season, and it isn't the expensive one. There's no brand in this. Any of it works. I'd change this one first because it's the smallest movement of the four, and it happens before you're properly awake. You're already standing at the pan. You're already holding the eggs. And I'll admit that the first morning I did it, I stood there with the bottle in my hand feeling faintly ridiculous, like a man breaking a rule he'd made up himself and then forgotten he'd made up, which is precisely what I was. Your morning, start to finish. What one of these actually looks like, in the order it happens. The pan goes on and a teaspoon of oil goes in, and that's number one done before you've thought about it. A handful of spinach or a few mushrooms go in beside the eggs and cook while they cook, which is number 4 and costs you nothing at all. Half an orange goes on the same plate on the way to the table. Same plate. That's number 2. And the tea stays in the pot until you've finished, which is number 3, and is the only one of the 4 that asks anything of you. 4 things. 1 pan, 1 plate, and about 90 seconds more than you were spending already. The honest part. I'd rather give you the true shape of this than a better story. The one you'll notice first is the tea, and you'll notice it the same morning, because food you actually taste is not a subtle difference. The rest of it I can't separate honestly. I changed 4 things across a fortnight, and I've no way of telling you which did what. Anyone who tells you they can measure that in their own kitchen is guessing and dressing it up. What this cannot do is fix a morning that started badly for other reasons. It won't touch a bad night's sleep, and it won't loosen a stiff back. Breakfast is 1 hour, and it doesn't get a vote on the other 23. And here's the thing nobody in this line of work says out loud. Some of this is just a body that has done 60-odd years of work, and it doesn't owe you 30. Some mornings are slower now. That's allowed. And it isn't a fault waiting for a fix. The other thing worth saying is that most people stop a small change 4 or 5 days before it would have gone invisible, and invisible is when it starts actually paying you. I nearly stopped over a washing up bowl and a second plate. So, 4 things, and only 4. Number 4, something green in the pan beside them, after a year of keeping it off. Number 3, the tea moved to after the meal instead of during it. Number 2, half an orange on the same plate, and the same plate is the whole trick. And number 1, a teaspoon of oil in a pan I'd kept dry for 15 years. The eggs were fine the whole time. I was the one getting in the way. If you've got a 5th thing that earns its place on your plate in the morning, tell me in the comments. I read every single one. If this was any use, a like helps more than you'd think, and subscribing means the next one finds you. Here is to the healthy living years.